Anybody watched NBA Paris game?
Kylian watched. David Beckham, Ronaldo, and Tony Parker.
None of us.
The French veterans.
From all that I know. Yeah, they didn't bring good teams
Again.
to Paris, so I don't know. There was so much going on. I think this game was kind of overshadowed, at least in Europe. So
I didn't watch too, but there was a nice story that I'm reading from La Giornata Tipo on Twitter. And they wrote that before the start of the game, the captains of Cleveland and Brooklyn make a short speech in front of all the fans that came to watch. And Tristan Thompson was like in the center of the field, and he's like, enjoy the show. We will do our best to entertain you and leave you with a good memory. And then Tristan Thompson finishes the game with 0 points, 0 from 0 shooting, 1 air ball while shooting a free throw, and he's sent off of the game for fighting.
well, maybe that's his type of entertainment.
That was his impact, this pregame speech, probably. Yeah.
The only thing that I saw is the NBA Paint account on Twitter did a really great paint job with Paris Levert. Like,
Okay.
it was a pretty funny one.
Okay.
We also had some pretty funny questions, to be honest. For instance, Rytis will have to explain this one. It's coming from Le Prince or Atleti Prince.
Is that you?
Nah.
Burner account of Donatas?
Question for
I don't
Rytis.
think Donatas supports Atletico Madrid in any
Exactly.
shape or
and I
form.
think that you got few questions from Atletico Madrid fans.
Yeah.
And the one was like, can you
Cool.
do me a favor and maybe leave some woman for the rest of us? Thank you. Is there any story behind it? I was confused, man.
I hope not.
There was one question about 2 football players, probably, right? And there was also this question.
Right. So the one
Did you
about
tweet something about Atletico?
I do tweet occasionally,
Yeah.
but the question was about
He already answered that.
Pedri and Bellingham, so that has nothing to do with Atleti. And that question, I don't know what that even means, honestly.
So as you see, we received all kinds of questions in our URBONUS Q&A sessions. Welcome all, Rytis Vyšniauskas, Augustas Šuliauskas, Donatas URBONUS. We will do our best to answer all the questions you addressed. Special shout outs to Nikola Belic and Dave Gassman, our GM subscribers, and also our team of all-star level subscribers such as Gabriel Serva, Nicozinho, T-Vol T21, Stefan Stamenic, Koki, Nikola, Kostas B, Victory, EuroLeague Fantasy Talks, Igor, and all the other who support us on starter levels. We have almost 600 subscribers, so thank you all for supporting us, because this also helps us to create a lot of extra content, such as Augustas video breakdowns or our trips, vlogs, film sessions from the hottest spots in Europe. And if you're not BN Plus member yet, join us on basketnews.com/plus. We have some great offers currently, and again, it includes a lot of extra features. One of my favorite are addressing questions to EuroLeague stars, or for instance, EuroLeague CAO, or sharing your thoughts on game nights in our closed basketball fans community on WhatsApp and Discord. Sometimes you can follow some very interesting discussions over there. So basketnews.com/plus. Also, this podcast will be exclusively available only for BN Plus members. All the other, you're gonna watch just a short segment of the entire podcast. So yeah, let's begin with the questions that we got. The one is coming from Alexandros Anagnostopoulos. Do you think that the healthy Panathinaikos can be on the Final Four?
I definitely think they can at this moment. And we saw yesterday against Monaco. I know Monaco were without Jordan Lloyd and Elia Kobo, so it was kind of hard for them to win that game away.
They were without soul as well. And
I think Panathinaikos took that soul away, actually, with their defense in the first and the second quarter. And Mike was vocal on social medias about, refs and all that stuff. But I thought it's just the way, and I agree they missed some calls, but I think Panathinaikos play this physical every game, and that's what allows them to be successful. They have the third best defense in the EuroLeague, and yesterday it was pretty easy for them to to limit Mike James. Basically, they were doubling him, even sending, doubling him and sending a third guy to stunt to help from off-ball situations. So they have great plans. They have Jermaine Grant, who is there to defend their prime. Sorry, who is there to guard the ball handlers. So I think they're doing a great job, and I think their defense is what allows them to be a contender for the Final Four. And yeah, like yesterday was just another example. And every time I'm seeing that a team will face Panathinaikos, and especially in Oaxaca. And yesterday Oaxaca was super loud, and they were jumping and singing like the good old times, So I think they're really, really hard to beat there, and they have a good team this year. They have, with Kendrick Nunn, they have enough ball handlers on the offense. So I think if they get the home court advantage, they will be even a favorite to win the quarterfinal series, no matter who they're facing. So I'm really high on them at this moment of the season because they are showing up on defensive side, and they have Lesort, who is a perfect guy when their ball handlers are trapped. He showed that yesterday again. So I agree with this. I agree. What do you guys think?
I think there are 10 teams that can make it to the Final Four, and Panathinaikos is one of those 10 teams.
But wouldn't you agree that some teams kind of have, like, let's say, a better
I do agree with that, and the standings agree with the statement. So basically, only Real Madrid is a lock, and all the other teams will compete with each other, and who knows what will happen. Who knows how these teams will pair with each other in the playoffs? Who knows which teams will go through the play-ins? So, yes, Panathinaikos, if I have to say right now, they see more of a Final Four material than, let's say, Maccabi, Monaco, Partizan, maybe even Olympiacos, although I still believe that Olympiacos can match PAO and maybe even be better in spring. But at the moment, for sure, I have to agree with you. And we can see that they actually lost some games, let's say, in overtime and in the last seconds. And they could have like 15 wins and they would be the second seed right now. So they're pretty close to Barcelona and Virtus Bologna.
They have three losses in the overtime. Out of 3.
Exactly. So, that's a fact. They're a legit Final Four contender right now. But as I said, I think there are 10 teams in this league right now that are capable of making it to the Final Four. And only one of those 10 teams is a lock. That's Real Madrid.
You started this list of the reasons why Panathinaikos could have a great shot at making it to the Final Four. And on top of that, I would add that they're also deep enough to be a Final Four team. They have enough hustle players who bring that energy and spirits to the team. They have players with improved mentality from the last year, and they have a solid chemistry, I would say. I didn't expect them to click so fast together, given all these changes that they had starting from the coaching staff and, of course, with a lot of roster changes. What's interesting that from the current top 9 teams, they beat only 2 teams so far, Virtus and Monaco. But they won 7 of their last 8 games, and with all these reasons and also building through those victories, they're getting closer to that goal. And reaching the Final Four in your first season, rebuilding the team, is not an easy task for anybody. I remember that even for Željko Obradović, we're considering him the GOAT of European basketball. And if I'm correct, in Fenerbahce, the same with Panathinaikos after, I would say, significant rebuilds. In a lot of seasons, he didn't even qualify to the top 8. So it's a really hard task, but this team is building on a, I would say, good pace to make this dream happen. So,
but honestly, what you said is kind of an argument for me to, let's say, not want to see Panathinaikos, let's say, winning the EuroLeague, for example. And I have nothing against Panathinaikos as a club. I'm not a Panathinaikos hater, but I wouldn't want this to be an example of a team that signs 12 new players and wins immediately.
Yeah.
Because I prefer to see continuity. I prefer to see teams building within every year and being successful, eventually reaching that target. And now if it sets the example of, well, let's put a bag of money on the table, sign 12 new players, sign a good coach, and we're gonna win. So this is why I'm expecting this Panathinaikos project to, let's say, reach its peak in the third season, for example, with Ataman and all the signings that they're making. Because right now, even though they're playing good, I still prefer some of those teams that have continuity.
In the first season, when Ataman joined FS, they were 4th in the regular season, but they won their series, and I think they lost only in the finals.
Yeah, they lost the final to
CSKA.
CSKA.
So who knows if the history doesn't repeat itself, but they have all the chances. Right now, they're in the 4th spot as we speak. So it's going to be pretty interesting, and I think it's going to depend a lot on the form that these teams are in come April, because right now we're still far away from that. It's 3.5 months from playoff time. So still a lot can happen, not only in the standings, but with how the teams play, with how players are happy, the rotations, injuries, they will have 30 more games probably in total. 40 games in total, between all the leagues they're playing.
And also the matchups. I wouldn't agree that home court advantage makes you a clear favorite despite the fact who you're playing. Like, I wouldn't say it would be the same series if let's say Panathinaikos as a 4th seed is facing Olympiacos as the 5th seed, and Olympiacos, let's say, facing Maccabi or Monaco. These are two very different scenarios, so it's tough to say, but definitely they need a home court advantage to improve their chances, because if you're playing a game 5, you want to play at home. That's like we saw last
probably
season.
That's the only game where home court advantage actually matters. I don't think it's that important, and the history shows that it's not that important for the series in general, for the playoffs, but if you go as far as game 5, then when this impact might kick in.
Yeah, you can ask the players and the staff and the fans of the other Greek team, Olympiacos, for the past 2 years. Did it matter for them to play game 5 at home? I mean, we saw what happened. Fenerbahce, Monaco, they weren't able to overcome everything, the atmosphere.
I mean, okay, Monaco was close, but Fenerbahce, they were really far away.
You can say they were close,
but
as I remember, in the 4th quarter, Olympiacos still broke the game.
Yeah, that's true.
And that's what
the Fener, it was just different.
Playing
because
at home does to you. It maybe gives you that some extra boost.
You mentioned this interesting thing. What if, let's say, Panathinaikos and Olympiacos will be 4th and 5th seed? And I thought that with this play-in tournament, is it fair that, for instance, you're Real Madrid, you have a top seed, and until almost the very last week before the playoffs, you're not sure who you're playing, while the 4th and 5th seeds, they know their opponents, because all the other teams, they're also not sure who are. Okay, sorry, Maccabi and Virtus, they also know, but is it fair that Real Madrid and Barcelona at the moment, they wouldn't be sure about who they're facing? Does that really matter?
It's the same in the NBA play-in tournament.
Yeah, but I'm just speaking about the whole
but why would it be
concept.
fair? Like, in the previous seasons, we saw some situations where teams could actually choose who to play in the playoffs. Like, whether you lose or win your last game, you might be 3rd or 4th, let's say, things like that. So nothing is fair. But what does knowing your opponent, let's say, 5 days earlier?
You save time for scouting, let's say.
I mean, come on, these teams play each other so many times,
but still,
they know each other. I don't think it matters that much, honestly.
Could be.
Like in the NBA, you have. I'm feeling bad for the scouts, that they have to prepare, because before the play-in tournament, you kind of have like 4. You could potentially have 4 teams, and it's decided in like 2 days. And we'll see a similar situation here, but in the NBA, you have 30 teams, not 18, and you see them quite often. You see a lot of games on these teams. If it's a team from the same country, you even might have played with them, I don't know, 6 or 7 times in the same season. So
for example,
pretty well these players, their systems and stuff like that. So it is hard to prepare. I think the coaching staffs are the ones who hate this the most, because they will have only probably not a week and a half to prepare, but only 3-4 days to prepare for the first game. But I think they'll be fine.
We're talking about Real Madrid. Let's be honest, they are not the team that adjusts to the other teams. They dictate their own game more or less. So I don't think it matters that much for them to wait who they're facing. Is it Monaco? Is it Baskonia? Is it somebody else?
What do we think about Mike James being sick of the disrespect coming from EuroLeague? I've been in this league 10 years, can't get no calls all of a sudden. I get a technical every game because of y'all fuck up. I work on my game in the summer, work on yours.
Thank you for watching this short part of our full URBONUS Q&A episode. If you want to find a full episode, please subscribe to BM+.